There we are. I think we're live. Hey guys, welcome to RC Talk. How are you guys doing tonight? We have Brian Almeida with us from Exclusive RC. And theoretically, we should have Brett Parker with us and hopefully Chris from GCM Racing. So we're going to have some, I find, pretty popular guys on tonight. Brian is actually driving home right now, so he's not looking at the phone. He is looking at the street, but he's got his phone pointing at him.
Yep.
How are you doing, Brian?
I'm excellent. Thank you for having me on board. And, you know, sometimes when we're running late, we got to make up for it. And that's why I carry my little magnet holder on my little vent, so this way it can kind of look at me. But, again, I can't really look there. Otherwise, it wouldn't really be safe. So safety first, as always.
Yeah. So you do 3D printed, so it's exclusive RC, but what's the other name that you use?
So Exclusive RC, and everybody knows me as Scale King. I do I've done the 3D printing pretty much ever since it kind of became available to the end user as something that would be functional, I guess, on the desktop, because realistically 3D printing's been around for 30 plus years already. The technology is not brand new, but the being usable and semi-affordable kind of is, and I kind of jumped into it right when it started, and I don't regret it, but at the same time, I was really upset and angry in the beginning because it was such a pain. The learning curve is massive. I mean, it still is. There was just a lot of stuff that I had to learn and deal with, and it was a real big pain. And yeah, now I'm a lot more fluent with it and a lot more comfortable with it, but there's still times that I feel like pulling whatever hair I have left on my head out of it.
Cool. And I don't know if you've been following the media, and I know you're getting home soon and you're doing a bunch of stuff, but I know that in the media, I saw this thing today on Instagram, and I actually published it, but Castle Link is coming up with the B-Link, they call it, which is Bluetooth. Now, what I don't like and what Brian doesn't like either is that they only release the iOS for now, not the Android version. Now we have to wait for the other one. That's no fun. So hopefully they're going to come out with the Android soon, because I think they're going to sell a heck of a lot more now with the Android, because I think there's more Android out there than iOS. But I guess they did the market study on that. So, and another thing I saw this week that I find kind of cool is that RC 4-wheel drive has a new trailer out. It's a 3-axle trailer. Now they're calling it a big dog. The reason they're calling it a big dog is that it's actually wider. So it permits you to actually put that nice big truck you have. Where's that truck? There it is. So it permits you to put a Yeti on it. That's kind of cool and neat, and it's nice that they have the 3 axles on it. And the price for US is not that bad, $259.99. So it's the same price as the other 2 axle that they have. They're extra large, so that's kind of cool. And Paul, what have you noticed this week that's new?
Nothing really for me. I've been working on some new tie-down straps. I'm going to probably try to market. The only thing is I can't find any scale metal. They're all plastic, but they seem to hold all my accessories on my truck. And they can come in any length. I can make them up to, I think, 6 feet in length. But for what I use them, they're pretty scale.
Nice. Now Brian just arrived home, and I guess he's should be getting home soon, he told me. But he did drop off. He's going to come back. He's going to jump on his computer, and he's going to come and join us, and we're going to go through his website and some of the stuff he does for 3D printing. So it should be kind of cool.
Yeah, I probably can learn a lot because I've been thinking about getting into it. But I'm kind of a dummy when it comes to that.
When it comes to what, sorry?
I'm kind of a dummy when it comes to the 3D printing.
Yeah, same here. Well, I don't do it, and just like I posted on my my Facebook page the motor I was getting for the Tonka truck, and somebody says, "Well, I'm sick and tired of people being happy of 3D printing that it's second grade," and the reason he was saying is that it's not printed fine enough. I don't know why the picture of that one I'm getting is printed that way, or if there is different print quality that you can get. I know that you can set it at finest print, but it takes a heck of a lot longer. Now it must bring up the price also when you 3D print very fine. So there's a lot of things. I know for me, I got one or two buddies that actually got a 3D printer. Well, it's actually, they got it for their son. So they're experimenting, they're 3D printing some stuff, and they're doing some cool stuff. Chris from GCM has some 3D printed stuff. He 3D prints it at home, and if it works for his truck, then he puts it out on Shapeways. So it's a good way to make extra cash on the side. That's for sure.
Yeah, Rob up here, a friend of mine, he bought one, and I think he did an old Dodge pickup truck, except he made it a 6-wheel drive. And it actually come out pretty good. He did it, I think, in 3 pieces. And then he bonded it all together.
Cool.
But now when everyone else was doing 3D printing, I still had my little torch and tin, making my own little gas cans out of leftover Christmas tins.
Okay.
But it's something I'd like to get into, especially if I could add hooks onto my ropes. You know, it's just a more attractive thing.
Mm-hmm. And we have Grant RC and Kagan that is actually in the chat room right now. So
Actually,
I've
been forgetting about it for the last couple of weeks. And I forgot about it again tonight. And it's like, well, let me go troll YouTube. Nothing's on TV. And I saw your notice.
Cool. Yeah, it's been 2 or 3 weeks in a row now that I posted a YouTube video saying what we're going to talk about tonight. But today, starting like at 9 a.m. all the way up to 5 p.m., I was actually in class with Shore Digital and talking about wireless microphones and wireless frequencies, wireless antennas, what happened when you put 20 mics in a room, how to manage them and all that. So that's the business I'm in. I'm into audio-visual stuff. That's my day job. So I had to take that course. And it was interesting. I stayed awake. The afternoon went by really fast, but it was a fun.
Yeah, years ago I used to work for Muzak, and we did commercial sound systems. And back then, the wireless were brand new things, and it was quite the learning curve.
Hagen, you're sideways.
Yeah.
He wants us to turn our screens.
There you go. That's better.
Is that all right that way?
Yeah. Did you just wake up or something? Your hair is all fluffy. Or...
Right. No,
I wasn't going to say nothing.
I had my headset on.
It's your after work look.
Yep. Yeah. Hard day at work and just playing video games afterwards.
Cool. I had a pair of headset also for my PlayStation 3, but it actually just stopped working. So I got to get a new one. Since then, I have not been playing GTA. I played GTA 5 on it. And my son goes, "How come you don't play GTA 5 anymore?" I go, "Well, my headset are broken."
Yep.
He goes, "You can still play." I go, "Yeah, but it's not the same. I like talking to the people and doing mission, but actually talking."
Sure.
So
I actually had a wireless headset that recently went under for some reason or another.
Yeah, mine too is a wireless headset that went under, and I don't want to pay another 125 or whatever I paid for it.
Yep.
So
There's
I'm gonna look.
PS5's coming out not too long, and new Xbox coming out. So at some point, might as well wait until the next generation, and then I just bought a cheap one to replace it.
Okay.
You don't get all this quality sound or anything. It's just the talk really, and then you use your stereo for the sound.
So it was a first nice long, not long weekend, but it was first nice weekend for us last weekend, and I organized a urban crawl in Ottawa. Turned out pretty good. We had about 19 trucks, I think, showed up, which was about 16 people. I think there was 3 or 4 guys that had 2 cars each, but I counted the cars instead of counting the people. More cars.
Right.
So, like, I had my unicorn, and I was driving it in the city, but man, that thing is so low to the ground. It's ridiculous. I was always like little sidewalks, and sometimes they're not even, and it's my car's not even a quarter inch off the ground. So lots of time I wasn't going fast, but I was the leader. But I could hear crunch, crunch, crunch. My son had his Ferrari, and that's the reason I took the unicorn, because he wanted the Ferrari. But he had the Ferrari, but the Ferrari is a good half inch off the ground, so he had no problem.
Yep. Gotcha.
But it was fun. We got quite a good. I got some good footage, a little bit of videos, but I wasn't there to take a video. I was there to have fun with the people and take a couple pictures here and there, and have fun with my son, taking a walk and just enjoying it more than anything. So it was good. If ever you guys are or want to organize one like that, do it. It's well worth it, and people usually will come.
Gotcha.
Depends if you live in a big city. If you live in a little country town, it's not a lot of people are going to be there.
Yeah, there's about 75,000 people in my town.
Okay, I'm sure you can find 10 or 20, 15 people to go walk around, and it's so cool when you're doing a crawl, an urban crawl, is that all the people around you in downtown, like we were in downtown Ottawa last weekend, and all the people that were there for the urban crawl, and all the kids were coming around. The dads and mom were stopping with their kids, and all the kids were looking at the car, and the kids were going to my son and goes, "Oh God, look, a Ferrari, a Ferrari." So my son was there stopping and bringing the car. He's 8, so he's bringing the car closer to the kids, and kids want to touch it. So it was a fun urban crawl. And some guys have some trailers and cars on the trailers, or the car was empty. So when someone didn't want to drive it, he just put his car right on the trailer. So it's nice to have an urban crawl.
This weekend we have Maple Fest in our town, and there's about 30 guys that get together and they join the parade with their RCs, and they have a trailer with a little float to drive up onto the trailer, back around, and so they really promote it.
Cool. And we have Brian that's back with us.
I'm back.
There you are, and you have your 3D printed stuff right behind you, all the printers and all that. That's kind of cool. How many printers do you have?
I got right now, I got 17.
You have 17 printers?
Yeah, and 6 more on the way.
Oh my God. But I've seen your setup in some of the videos that Chris made and a bunch of other people made, and I've actually watched some of your videos also, but that you're featured on. And your booth, there's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, I guess from the experience, like we talked about a little previously, of the dealing with sales for so long, I know that one thing that attracts people is obviously the eye candy and the presentation. And with that being said, I'll use your platform to make a special announcement that I haven't made anywhere to anyone yet. But I got some new one-to-one manufacturers that I partnered up with, PullPow, RIP Superchargers, and a few others that I can't think of at the current moment, that I'm actually going to be producing products for. I'm going to be the official PullPow metal distributor. I'm going to keep putting that brand out there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have in my booth now a full-size pull pal displaying all the little pull pals. I'm going to have actual storage roto packs displaying the little roto packs because that's one of my other business partners. And it's all about just that presentation so that when you walk up, you kind of feel like you're in the Toys R Us of RC.
That is cool. So the pull pal that you're going to make in 1/10 scale, are they going to be in plastic or are they going to be metal?
No, they're going to be actual metal. I spoke with the owner of Pull Pal, Max Gramillion, and he's been following me for a long time, which is really humbling because when he approached me, he just kind of talked to me and like, you know, somebody who was a fan. And, you know, I talked to everybody the same and I didn't know who he was. And then when I found out who he was, I was like, wow, I didn't know that somebody who's really big in the industry, especially the one-to-one side, you know, pays attention to the little guy like me. So, you know, I told him, I said, hey, what would it take for me to make some official Pull Pal products, you know, with the brand, the whole nine? And he said, man, I don't have time anymore to do the 1/10 scale stuff. And I love the work that you do. So, like, I would really love if you took it over and just kept my brand going and gave the RC enthusiast the brand product that they've been missing, because we all know there's a lot of companies out there that make their own rendition of a Pull Pal, but it's not the Pull Pal. So he gave me pretty much the license and the okay and the blessing to take over and do the full metal work. So it's full steel, 3/16 thick, full true to scale, the TEN-SCTE, and the bottle opener version, which has a little hook on the back. It's really cool. It actually works in the RC, but you can also use it to crack open your beer bottles if you're a drinker. Yeah, I'll be making those for starters. And then I'll be coming out with new products as well for a lot of the newer stuff that he's putting out, but they will be full true metal.
So the pull pal that you'll be making, is it the one that folds up?
No, it's his original design. The fold one, I'm actually designing now to have it made in metal because I know it's being made in a 3D printed metal, but it breaks. Like, it's not really, it's aesthetically pleasing, but it's not really meant to be functional. So I want to put out a product that is functional, that is foldable, that does exactly what the one-to-one does, but has the full functionality. Because even though I am a 3D printer, I know the limits and the levels of certain things that just shouldn't be 3D printed or can't be, for that matter. So I want to do one, a folding one, but it will be completely 100% metal.
Cool. And you don't have a prototype that you can show us?
Gio, we got a one of the pull pals there finished. Turn the light on and see. Or you can give me two of the pieces, the spade and the the spade and the what you call it. Yep. So here's your standard your 60 model right here.
Yep.
And your spade. Once the spade gets put in the press, it gets that curvature like the real one. It gets put in here. It gets welded together and pretty much gives you your full metal pull pal, your attachment here, and it's got a nice little weight to it. And this thing is bulletproof. I mean, this is solid 3/16 steel, and like, you're not putting a hurting on this at all.
Nice. I made a couple myself, but I made them with a 3.5-inch nail and some metal. So just by brazing them together, it works fine.
Yep, exactly. And that's part of like what I really like about the hobby is that you got a bunch of tiers of different people. So you got your people that don't want to spend the money, people that don't mind spending the money, and then people that want to just do their own thing because they can and they know how. And, you know, I appreciate all of them in their own right because it's just really cool and refreshing to see these new ideas and see, people kind of reinventing the wheel per se. So it's just the originality is what really gets me and I think is really awesome.
Cool. Now, when you move your mouse, you can actually open up a website and show us a little bit about your website. But if you open up in another window, you must have multiple monitors where you are?
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, that works. You'll just need one.
Okay.
When you hover over this window, you'll see a share screen icon. at the top corner.
Top corner. Okay.
It's green. It's a green icon. When
Yep.
Now click on that. Select the screen you want to share, and it's
Okay.
going to come up live.
Boom. All right.
Don't share this screen though, because you're creating a video feedback.
There you go. Got it.
Okay.
So let's see.
Should be able to bring in by itself. In big, in other words.
So right there.
There we go.
Okay. Everybody can see that clear, I'm assuming?
Yep. So your website is actually called exclusiverc.com, or what is the name?
It's exclusive-rc.com and or thescaleking.com. Either way, I bought both domains because once the whole Scale King thing took off, I was like, yeah, you know, maybe I should own that and buy the domain, and it kind of just stuck. So, I mean, user preference, it doesn't really matter, but either one will bring you to the same place.
Okay, cool.
So one of the things that you can see here doesn't have an image yet because it's actually brand new and I hadn't announced it yet, but I'm actually right here. I have a full 1/24/1/18 mini scale accessories. So, you know, the 1/18 scale Galandes, the 1/24 trail trekkers, the ambushes, the ECXs. I'm making all the accessories now. I've scaled them down because it's starting to become really popular. I'm actually working on a portable 10-foot layout that I'll be taking with me to events. Let's see. I also have on pre-register or pre-order, which will start shipping in the next 2 weeks. I have here the RW60 and the 60 TA full pals. So they're both already ready to go for pre-order.
You said you're going to take a 10-foot layout. That's like a 3D terrain or something to drive crawlers on, I take it?
Yes, I am currently building. It's 10 foot by 5 foot. It'll have another 4 foot extension on it. And I'm doing, basically I started my entire hobby obsession when I was a child with HO trains. So I'm really, really keen to scenery and all of that good stuff. So I'm actually building this portable layout to look like a like Moab when I went out to Moab. So it's going to be called Mini Moab. I really, really loved it out there, so I want to replicate that and be able to take it to events so that I can help with the problem of people waiting in line too long to run their trucks. Now they can, you know, spare their attention over my way and play with the little ones that I'll have there that they can use, or they can bring their own or purchase their own and play with them there for free. I'll do little mini comps, little giveaways, things like that, just to kind of spice it up and make the weekend outing a little more interesting, you know?
Mm-hmm. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Easy to have a few of those trucks to let other people run too, price-wise.
Yep.
So that's not a bad price for $25 for the pull pal, actually.
No, not at all.
So here you can pretty much see all the scale motors that I have available. We are currently revamping all of our motors. And I'll give you a perfect example.
Oh, I love my ice cream.
Okay, hold on.
So you see the 454, the way this one looks here on the screen?
Yep.
You know, it's got detail. It's nothing out of this world. It's got 3 screws, you know, that hold the headers together there. You can see the print lines a little bit. You know, nothing too fancy. Now, what I'll do is, wait, okay. Behind me, I have the new revamped 454, which you can see clearly has a lot more detail. They're a lot more part accurate as far as where everything goes, everything bolts down, a lot smoother as far as resolution goes. It's a split half block now, so you can put your brushless, brushed, without having to hack up the motor. You just literally take the 4 screws that are here, pop it off, put it on. 540 fits perfectly. Everything that has a screw comes off, bolts on, and that's pretty much essentially what I'm doing with all of my motors, and then still trying to keep them at the same price at $95. If the customer ends up wanting it with all the stainless hardware, it's $5 extra. If they don't, they get pretty much what I have here without the hardware, except for the hardware that holds the block together. And pretty much get a lot cleaner, a lot nicer motor, because when I did the motors in the beginning, nobody was really putting out any of the motors, and then RC 4-wheel drive came out with their metal version, and I didn't think it was going to be too popular, but then out of nowhere, it's like you turn around and everybody's got a scale engine now. So I want to make sure that I can continue to offer affordable products, but at the best quality that I possibly can. So not only am I revamping the entire line of motors, but I'm also coming out with 10 more motors, including the 6.7 turbo diesel, the Duramax diesel, an LC70 diesel, and there's just so many other motors that I can't even think of at the moment that I'll be coming out with. And I'll probably have about 22 to 24 different motors in my arsenal.
Okay.
12 valve.
Yes. 12. So I got a 6.9 here. I'm sorry, 5.9 turbo diesel. And you can see all the metal wiring for all of, everything where it's at, all the pulleys, everything where it needs to be, everything screwed into place. Same thing, split block. I'm a huge Mopar guy, so every popular Cummins that's out there, I'm probably going to come out with just because.
Nice.
Now, the engine that you gave or sold to Chris there because I'm building a Tonka Winnebago with him, it's going to be his special event vehicle. It's a 4BT Cummins, the turbo. The resolution that you printed is that the resolution where you usually go, or sometime it's nicer, or how does it work?
So honestly, it really depends on the product itself. In the beginning, I was printing at, I don't want to call it the worst resolution, but I want to say the fastest resolution for certain items, like, for example, a first aid kit, a little square box with a little cross on it. I'm not going to go and print that for 45 minutes to sell it to you for $15 when I could print it relatively quickly, sell it to you for $5, and the lines really don't bother anybody. But when it comes to aesthetic stuff like the engines, the accessories that go with it, obviously I'm going to print those at the finest quality and really, really get the best resolution I can, because it's something that you're going to see. It's something that's going to pop out. The older motors were printed in the in-between, and the reason for that is because the demand was so high. Even with all my printers, I couldn't turn them around fast enough, and right now, it literally takes me an entire day to print all of the parts for one motor off of one printer. So the fact that I have 17 printers helps, because I can print 17 motors a day, essentially, if that was all that I was printing. But I can't really trade off on the faster quality anymore, because there's so many people out there putting stuff out, competing with places like Shapeways and stuff like that. I have to basically put out the best quality I can, and the only way to really answer that demand is to get more printers and to design things in ways that they'll print faster with less support, and just less waste material, basically.
And you mentioned Shapeways. A lot of people buy there. What's the benefit of buying from you compared to Shapeways?
So the benefit with buying from me, first and foremost, and I actually did a post on this a while back, and I'm probably going to do another actual video and put it on YouTube, is so Shapeways prints in nylon, and then they print in a plethora of different metals and different plastics. To my knowledge, Shapeways doesn't print in carbon nylon for whatever reason. I do. The difference between the two is, while they can print their nylon in whatever color and then kind of give it that bathe of a red or a blue or a green, it's still kind of brittle, and it almost feels like a sandpaper. When I print with my carbon nylon, the resolution is so fine, you barely see any print lines. And if you do, they're extremely easy to sand or file down because of the mixture of carbon fiber in it. With the Shapeways stuff, anyone that's ever dealt with that knows that when you start to sand it, it gives you that plasticky kind of film from the friction, the heat from the friction, and it's a total pain to sand, to fill. Once the sun hits it, you start to get those rings, and you start to see where all the print lines were and stuff like that. The other benefit too is while you're paying Shapeways $20 for an item, you'd probably pay me half of that because it's printed in-house and I don't have to go through 3 or 4 other middlemen that are trying to make some money off of that. And that's the reason why a lot of companies now are coming to me like Shapeways and having me print their stuff for them because it's better quality, it's stronger, and it's cheaper. I mean, ultimately it's cheaper. And at the end of the day, who's not going to want something that's cheaper than the more expensive option and the better quality, you know?
If I buy a motor from you, is it going to be assembled or disassembled?
So if you got 2 options, if you buy the PLA version, which would be this, it's going to come pre-assembled the way it is. A lot of the parts will be glued on. Some of them will be screwed on where the screws are, or it'll be both and the screws will kind of just be aesthetic. If you buy the carbon nylon version, which would be the finest and best quality that I offer, it will still come assembled only for the purpose of you receiving it and knowing where everything goes, and you could take your own before and after pictures, but it'll be assembled with a dab of hot glue just to keep it in place. And when you get it, you literally take your fingernail, pop all the parts off, peel the hot glue off, do your prep work, your paint, all that stuff, use fast dry CA, and then you get to assemble it yourself. So I call that the builder's kit, basically. And that comes just all black with all the hardware, and it lets you kind of be creative and do your own thing.
Cool. And I believe that's one thing that Shapeways does not offer is the assembled pieces, right? When you buy something from there, it's all in pieces.
Yep, all in pieces. You gotta. If, for example, I made an item and sold it to you through Shapeways that required hardware, I would hope that I would put down the list of hardware and things that you would need, but ultimately you would have to source them out, go buy them, hope that you can get them, because Shapeways is literally, they print the pieces, put it in a plastic bag, ship it out to you, and then you kind of figure it out from there.
Yeah. That's what I noticed last time I bought some 3D printed stuff is there's no hardware, there's nothing. So you have to, I bought a linkage set for the twin hammer for the steering. So I got this steering linkage set. It's all in one piece. I got to take it off. I got to cut it all, and I got to put it all together. The only instruction is a video link for the instruction on how to put it together. So,
yeah, a little rough.
It is, but it's good for the people that are crafty and handy. Like I have no problem with that. But some people, they can't, for whatever reason, they can't follow instruction, or they can't find the instruction, or where to install it. So they end up saying, "Oh, it's a bad product," because they can't figure it out. But it's not really a bad product.
Yeah, and you know what? I tend to get that too sometimes. I just get people that assume that something is what it's not, and then when they get it and they don't really know how to put it together or whatever, the first thing they do is blame the product. And it's not really the product's fault, it is the end user, because you got to kind of know what you're getting into, especially in a hobby where it's about the hobbyist and all of the custom work.
Mm-hmm. And when that new coming engine that you just showed, when is that one coming out, or is it available now?
It's available now. All of these motors that are up there are available now. The 5.9 is already the revamped version because I actually designed it and made it after I started revamping all the other ones. I still have some inventory of the older motors that I'm going to sell at a much cheaper price to kind of move them. The new motors I'm going to be releasing as well in the next week or two. It's a little hectic because I'm doing a million things with my mind moving a million miles an hour. But yeah, that's available now already, and all the old ones are still there, and the new ones will be updated as I build inventory, because I hate to announce something and then not have the inventory, and then the consumer gets upset because they want to order it right away and they can't.
Yeah. I'm at your website right now, and it's asking me to sign up for a web special and whatever, but it's asking me what's my scale, which is kind of cool. And that's what you mentioned a little earlier, is that you're now doing stuff for 1/10, 1/14, 1/16, 1/18, and also 1/24 scale.
Yep. Yep.
That's
yep. We like to make sure that you don't get spam. And when you do get email blasts or product alerts or stuff for me, it's actually relevant to what you're into and to what you do. Because I got to tell you, it's super annoying when I love planes and they're cool, but they're just not my cup of tea. And I get 100 emails of RC plane stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do with this. I want the scale stuff and the construction equipment and the little things. I don't want, the plane stuff or the boat stuff, because that's not what I'm into,
Yeah. Cool. I'm going through, I'm just looking at some of the stuff you have here. Let me make this image bigger so it's full scale. So when you come here on the side, you can actually select which scale that you want to look into or select as a brand. So you do actually some stuff for a typical SCX10, in other words. You can go there and select stuff directly for the SCX10.
Yep. And actually, speaking of that, there's a lot of, we have the product breakdowns and separations there already, and it's still, obviously, as you can see, a work in progress, because there's just so many things. I have over 450 different items that I offer, and sometimes it's just impossible to make sure they're all in the right place. But I get a lot of help from customers who say, hey man, I'm looking for this particular item, can you help me? And in my mind, I'm like, it should be in this section. I go look, it's not there, I make the adjustment. Or they'll tell me, hey, I found TF2 door panels, but I found them in this section, and I fix it and all that stuff. So customers are very vocal with helping out with setting stuff up, which helps, because ultimately I can't do everything at once or by myself all the time. So having that help is definitely a plus.
So you have the dashboard for the SMT.
Yep.
Does this dashboard light up?
Yes, it does. It's 2S and 3S friendly.
Wow.
You just plug it into the balance leads?
Yep, and that's it. That or directly to the battery. I mean, your choice, basically. It just needs a negative and a positive, and it's pre-resistored to handle 6S all the way. I mean, 6S, 6 volt all the way to 13 volts. So 2S, 3S friendly. I don't really know of anybody else that runs more than that, but if they do, it's, I tell them it's 2, 3S. If you put 4 or 5 or 6, it might still work, but it ain't going to work very long.
Here, Tony, if Tony from CCXRC, I know he's been going crazy with Monster Truck. Here's a wheelie bar for you, for your SMT.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And, this would be cool in your SMT, Tony. Some dashboard. Now you also have a floor pan with seat. Cool.
I just used a Wraith seat and stuck it where the ESC was.
Yeah.
There you go.
And the ProLine fuel cell kit and double carburetor and fuel lines out of actual fuel line. And
Nice.
I just changed my router, and I think it's a little slower than what it is. So you have specific RC four-wheel drive. Some specific model from RC four-wheel drive you have?
Most likely it's the TF2 products that are in there.
Okay, there it is.
And the scale motor stuff.
Yeah, my hood on my TF2 does not open. Been too lazy, I left it stock. Oh, you do have the door panels. Cool.
Yep.
Now this is a nice flatbed. Put some diamond hash product metal on there, would look nice.
I actually have that same flatbed that happened to have an accident. It got a little run over and cracked, and I didn't want to throw it out. I felt bad, so I ended up taking it and making it look like this.
oh, nice.
Cool.
Or rusted and weathered.
Yep. I just beat it up a little bit, and now it's totally usable again, and I don't feel bad that it looks like crap.
Now, how does that plastic would I'm getting Brian, your audio is a little. Okay. Yeah, just bring down your audio just a little bit, Brian.
Mine?
Yeah.
Hold on.
For some odd reason, I was hearing. How is that plastic for the bed so that when you tumble or resist that?
So it's pretty resilient actually, and that bed's printed in PLA, obviously. The only thing I'd say that I've ever had an issue with, based off of what a customer's told me in the past, is it's not very. It doesn't really like the heat, and when I mean the heat, this guy left the bed on his vehicle on the back section of his car where the sun basically went through the back glass and acted as a magnifying glass, and it heated his car up to I don't know how many degrees, to the point that when he would touch the bed, it was pretty malleable. It was kind of soft, like it could almost deform if you pushed it hard enough. But as far as abuse-wise, I know guys that have these things that beat the snot out of it, and I mean, it gets scratched and chipped here and there, but nothing as far as cracks or breaks or anything like that, because the way I print the stuff too, the way I have the supports and the weaving on the inside makes it relatively strong for the weight to size ratio. So it's pretty resilient stuff. And if you're talking carbon nylon, and forget about it. It has the same tensile strength as aluminum, so you can damn near beat on that thing on purpose and it's not going to do anything.
Cool. And I went in your category of animals and I noticed you have some bears.
Yes, I got mama bear and baby bear. I also have deer that I have to post up. I have some falcons, some birds. I have some of that, some other animals, mountain lions, stuff like that I have to finish posting up on the site, of course. But I do have all that stuff because, like I said, I like scenery, and I think scenery is what really makes it for us, and it actually gives you that want and that need to want to play, because it kind of immerses you into that that realm of RC or of scale. So that was kind of my way of just saying, hey, let me help make it a little more scale while you're out on course, you know?
Well, another thing that I found people are looking for is dogs, like Rottweilers or German Shepherds. There, Kagan is showing one.
Yeah, like a dog.
Is that us, Kagan?
You do different types of dogs and stuff for people. They would appreciate that, I'm sure.
Yep. I'm a huge dog guy.
Because guys are always looking for characters to put in their truck, and a sitting dog would be nice. Having a dog kind of the way your dog sits in a car, like his ass is on the side and then he's looking forward. Yep. So those dogs you don't usually find at a store. You usually find like the one that Kagan had, which is just standing up. The only problem with putting that dog in a Jeep is you have to put it in the back. You can't put it on the front seat.
Yep. True. Very true.
So having a dog
that misses that they have for the seat belts now or something.
Yep.
Yeah, for seat belt. I did a car seat, a baby car seat for my truck, and I found a little character, so I actually built that and I put it in the car. It's kind of cool.
Nice. Very cool. That's cool. A little Corbeau.
Yeah.
Going through your camping stuff. Now you must be like Top Shelf Hobby also and make stuff just like Top Shelf Hobby does here in Canada.
What's that?
You ever heard of Top Shelf Hobby? They do.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think of his name. I'm drawing a blank here.
I can't remember his name either.
Chris?
Oh,
Is it Chris?
No, it's not Chris.
No,
it's shoot. Top Shelf Hobby got started, I want to say, a little over a year after I did, and I actually we've done a lot of talking in the past, and he was also carrying some of my product out there in Canada, and we kind of worked with each other because we knew that the industry was going to have a lot of these people jumping on board and kind of just wanting to, you know, for lack of better terms, copy. So we would communicate back and forth and say, hey, man, I'm working on this motor. You mind if I print that motor? Or you know, I'm doing this type of milk crate. I'm going to offer this type of milk crate. So we would work together. So this way it kind of like we weren't competing, but we weren't stepping on each other's toes at the same time too, because he's all the way over there. I'm all the way over here. But we would help each other out, and he would carry some of my products, and I would send people his way for, you know, stuff that they may want. And they were in Canada and they didn't want to pay the taxes and the import duties for me and stuff like that. So, you know, he makes some pretty good stuff, but he's been kind of quiet lately. I see some posts every once in a while for him, but he's not as active as he used to be.
No, I found him quiet also, especially on social media and all that. But in the past week, for some odd reason, he woke up. He just started posting again, posting some new stuff. You see him working. He's done a whole bunch of those little tiny remote controls from Spectrum. He has a bunch of those, so I think he's back. He probably took a break or something, but I think he's back now.
Well, good. I mean, this hobby definitely lacks good, reputable companies and the people that run them, because, you know, as I mentioned, like there's a lot of people that have that First of all, with 3D printing, there's a huge misconception, and I think it has to do with the word printing. Because people think that you hit Control P and all of a sudden you got this masterpiece, and it's so much more than that. So a lot of these guys or girls, you know, they'll grab, you know, mommy's money or even their own money, and they'll say, hey, let me go buy this printer. This guy's making some money doing some stuff. I could do it too. And real quickly they realize the amount of work and effort that goes into it and just what's involved, that they're like, you know what, I'm just going to do this for me. Because a lot of times people put out this awesome product that they took 3 months to manufacture, and when they're like, yeah, it's $50, people are like, oh my God, $50. And then they're like, you know what, I'm not doing it then. If nobody wants to pay me what it's worth, I'm not doing it. And it's like, hey, welcome to my world, you know?
Yep. Not so easy after all.
Yeah, exactly. Not at all.
Then you also got your 3D printer maintenance you got to keep up on too.
Oh my God. Listen, don't even get me started on that, because there's times I want to take these printers and drag them down the street behind my truck. Like, it's that bad.
Now, what kind of printer do you use? Are they store grade? Not store grade. Are they what grade of? Because I know you can buy a 3D printer that's $125 or $300, $500. There's different grades of ours, 3D printers. Which one do you have?
So what I tell people is, well, right now the brand that I'm using is Markforged. All of my other printers that I have are pretty much custom built. I started with MakerBot back in the day. Now everything that I got's custom built, from the computer down to the extruder, stepper motors, the whole nine. Because I can't really find a printer other than the Markforged. But again, I'm also limited to it only being able to print in fiberglass and carbon fiber, nylon. I'm not really finding a printer on the market that has everything that I need the way I need it and the way I want it. So I always have to do some tweaking, changing, modifying, whatever the case may be. So most of them are custom. The brand ones are the Markforged ones, which range anywhere from $8,000 all the way up to $120,000. What I tell people is, if you're going to get into it, because I've helped a lot of people in the past get into the hobby and actually get into 3D printing. And a lot of those people are actually the same ones that have pretty much been doing some of the shady stuff, but that's my fault for being naive, I guess. But I still continue to help people. Just the other day, I had a buddy of mine who was selling a printer that was in really good condition, and I had a customer that asked me, and I said, look, I got a buddy who's selling one. I gave it a once-over, did some test printings, made the deal for him, sent it to him, and I said, if you need anything, give me a call. I'll walk you through maintenance, touching things up, how to print, how to level, how to set, your settings and all that good stuff. So what I tell people is, if you're going to do it, don't cut corners, because those $200 printers, all I can say is you get what you pay for. Yeah. And you'll find out really fast, and you'll be upset really fast.
Cool.
If you are going to buy one of the cheap ones, I think you need to pay attention to which one you're buying and look at some of the reviews and see what kind of quality prints. Like, some of them are better than other ones.
The other problem too is you don't just, it ain't even so much about the quality per se. It's also the support, because like if parts take a crap, you got nowhere to buy them. You got a paperweight basically.
True. Yeah.
You know, that's a big factor too that people fail to realize.
True.
Well, I think people are thinking, like you're mentioning earlier, printing. Like they think it's a printer that prints paper. Once you're done, you just put another cartridge in it and just put paper and just print as many sheets as you want. But there is maintenance, there is breakage. A lot of people I know that have these printers, the first thing they do is the print head to cool it down. They put a bigger fan. There's all kind of weird things, or a vacuum, or whatever they do to actually make them work better. So.
Yep. Absolutely. There's a million ways to skin that cat.
You can use ruby print heads, right?
Oh yeah, $90+ a piece. Yeah, but they're worth every penny.
And they're recycling them into something, I hope, afterwards, like necklaces or something.
Yep.
Nice.
Which is good. We like repurposed stuff.
That's right.
Kagan, you seem to know a lot about 3D printed. Did you read up on it, or?
No, my buddies on video games, when I'm chatting, they're always got a 3D printer going in the background and chatting about them.
Nice.
So I pick a little bit from them.
Yeah, people are 3D printing a lot of stuff, which is kind of really neat and cool. But for some stuff, like I thought it'd be a nice thing to get, but I'm so busy doing other thing and soldering or brazing or doing other thing. That's another thing I don't want to get into. Because like you mentioned, you start with one printer, then you notice there's something weird with it, or you don't like it, so you get another printer, you upgrade until you actually find it. Well, the money I'd spend on that 3D printer, I'd rather spend it somewhere else. That's my 5 cents, and I'd rather buy the parts from the guy that makes it.
And in the same way you look at it that way, I look at it the opposite way. I'm like, I really want that truck, but if I'm going to spend $600-700 on that truck, I can probably take that $600-700 and put it into building another printer and making more inventory. So it works both ways.
Yeah. We all have our little quirks and our little things that we like and do so.
Absolutely.
Talking about trucks, what kind of trucks do you have?
So I want to say 95% of my trucks now are all pretty much custom built. I mean, they utilize parts from everybody, like Chris at GCM. I love his scale accessories, the transmission, the axles they put out, their chassis. I run Bauhaus axles. I run Reef servos. I've manufactured a lot of my own stuff. Obviously, Pitbull tires is my number one. I make my own wheels, or I'll get like RC 4-wheel drive wheels or run some Pitbull wheels. I started my RC obsession with building the 14 scale semi-truck and construction stuff, which is extremely, extremely expensive. But there's nothing like moving dirt, and like it sounds really boring, but the minute you pull the trigger on that thing and you start moving dirt and you're like pushing dirt with a dozer and using a dump truck to haul it, like 6 hours goes by like that. It's like the blink of an eye, and it's like the most fun you have in slow motion, basically.
Yeah. But it's kind of cool watching those 3D printer. You got to watch it in fast forward, not in regular mode. But it's really cool seeing them build something.
Yes, it is. Well, you know what? So I'm going to say that it is, and then I'm just going to say that it was. Because in the beginning, I would probably sit there like this and stare at it the whole time, and I'm just counting every layer in my head, and, it's really cool. And about 10 prints in, I'm like, yeah, screw this. I'll be back when it's done.
Doesn't print any faster when you watch it, huh?
No, it doesn't. You would think like, people work faster when you're harassing them and stuff, not the printers. Usually when you're staring at the printers, they like to break right in front of your face.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, story of my life.
I'm trying to put a post here on Facebook saying that you're on the chat live with us at the same time that we're chatting.
Awesome. So you want to see a little something new that I'm coming out with for the 18 scale?
Go for it.
Sure.
So here's a standard 1/18 scale Galande chassis.
Cool.
Oh yeah, Unimog.
Direct bolt on.
Nice.
Exact wheelbase. I'm also working on the longer wheelbase chassis conversions for people and the conversion pieces for the drive shaft. So now you can run the 4-door, you can do the longer builds, because if you've noticed, RC 4-wheel drive's been building rigs that have the exact same wheelbase with all their bodies because it's just more cost effective that way.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to complain about it because it gives people like me the chance to make a little, something on the side by offering stuff that they're not offering.
True.
So I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Now, how many bodies are you thinking of coming out with?
So right now I have this U5000 Unimog that I'm going to do in a 2-door, and I'm going to do it in a 4-door. I'm actually literally designing the interior right now as we speak. I am going to come out with a hard body Power Wagon, a hard body TF2, and probably 2 or 3 others that I'm not 100% sure on just yet until I figure out how this is all going to work and kind of see where the market is at and like what people may or may not want to see.
Okay.
So that's kind of where that's at the current moment in time.
Cool. Anything for drifter guys?
Yes. So drift wise, I make hood turbos, seatbelt harnesses, seatbelts, the bride race seats, the drift e-brakes, the gauges, the exhausts, right now I'm actually coming out with the first ever Datsun 620 pickup. The bodies are en route. They should be here in the next 2 weeks or so. I had some limited run of those. I'm going to have maybe about 20 or 30 extra that I ordered on top to have for the late bloomers, or maybe the people that didn't get to see it when I did the whole big announcement. And we're going to sell those at $59 just for the body, or $119 for the body and all of the 3D printed accessories to go with it, the grill, the mirrors, basically all the attachments, the buckets, the light buckets, pretty much everything that truck would come with that we can make a hard plastic piece for, and those will be in carbon nylon.
Cool. One thing you should do, and I noticed that some people really liked it, is from Asia T. Somebody made a pickup truck, but it had the scoop of the unicorn on it. You should make that scoop available for that unicorn.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. You're actually the second person, I believe, that's mentioned that to me, so I think it's a sign.
There it is. There it is. So it's
nice.
fairly simple and straight. You just got 4 little pipes, and then you got the bump on it. So.
Yep.
But you cannot buy this, and the guy that actually made that pickup actually took the parts off a body like this. So he had to buy the car to take the parts off of this to put it on the other one and paint it. And also the scoop at the back, that's not available, and he has that on the pickup truck also. So there's some stuff that you cannot buy these parts off the shelf.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, that's not I guess that's not a good thing for them, but it'll be a good thing for me. I guess I'll have to make that available.
Yeah, I don't know how much trouble you're going to get from Unicorn for the rights or anything like that, but I guess if you make it a little different, it's not the same.
And that's usually how we go about it with that stuff. When it's one of those things that they won't license or they just don't care to, then I just put my own little twist to it where it still generally looks the same, but it's different enough where nobody can really bother me, you know?
It's just like I saw you had some chainsaws, but you actually did put the word "still" on it.
Yep.
You didn't get in trouble for that?
No, because I actually have so I have a few different avenues of how I do things with licensing and with the people involved in the marketing departments. So every company is a little different with how you do things. But ultimately, 99% of the time, companies aren't harassing you. Well, they won't harass you unless A, you're making millions off of their brand, which in RC is almost impossible. Two, if you're not using it in the wrong sense or talking bad about it or putting it in a negative light or putting out a product that looks really tacky or subpar to what their standards are in the real world. And then a lot of them, like, Rotopacks, to get the licensing from them was like as easy as coming in and shaking a man's hand and saying, "Hey, I'm Brian. I own Exclusive RC." They were super cool, and they were just like, "Yeah, knock yourself out." Griffin Radiator was another one that was like, "Yeah, man, when you blow up in the RC radiator scene, don't forget about us little guys." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're the little guy, all right. I'm never going to blow up that big, but that's cool." And but they were like, "Hey, send us, 2 or 3 of everything you make." So, every company is different with how we do it and stuff like that, and agreements and things of that nature. But ultimately, every company wants the same thing. They want free publicity and positive publicity about their product so that the little kid who sees that brand grows up, recognizes the brand as an adult, and is now buying the real stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about a couple RC talks ago. I was talking about that particular thing because somebody's got in trouble with duplicating something, and they had to pull it out of market or whatever. And it was weird because that's what I was saying. It's free publicity for them. So how the heck can they say it's bad for them? You have people putting that on their truck and putting their name on the truck, on the little tiny truck, and I guess it's publicity, but is it publicity they want? It's kind of weird.
Well, see, in the business world, there's a saying that there's no such thing as bad publicity, because publicity is publicity either way. Yeah. But a lot of them just don't understand that, and I chalk it up to pure ignorance, because any real company is going to say, hey, yeah, we want to reach out to more people. We want to have a bigger avenue of attention and business. So, yeah, we're all for it. Let's, do whatever it is that you got to do. And then you get companies like, Snap-on, for example. I had dealing with Snap-on years ago, and then the gentleman that I signed with, that I had the dealing with, he basically decided for whatever reason that he was going to go work for another company that I guess gave him a better opportunity. Snap-on got spiteful about it. They contacted me and said, hey, the deal with him is no longer, we're not going to hold that deal anymore. So if you can please stop putting our brand on stuff. And at that point in time, I said, you know what? I was doing you a favor. I'm going to put ERC on it. It's not going to affect my sales no matter what. And it's going to affect your publicity because people were buying it and they were publicizing and hashtagging Snap-on, and now they won't. And then they were like, well, we could work with you. And I said, sure. What do you have in mind? Oh, well, we'll take 70%. 70% of what? Wow. I'm like, are you out of your mind? I'm like, yeah, you can take that 70% and, go do something special with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a question here from Bill Byton. He says, when you said you were going to make a TF2 body, did you mean you were going to make a Mojave 2 body or something different?
Yes, the Mojave 2, I've spoken to the guys at RC 4-Wheel Drive, and I asked them, I said, I don't want to be that guy, but, and I don't want to do something that's going to upset you guys, but why in the world haven't you come out with a TF2, Toyota hard body? I mean, come on, that's like the RC 4-Wheel Drive, like, go-to rig. And their exact response to me was, it doesn't fit the wheelbase. It requires a longer wheelbase, and we don't have any plans of making a longer wheelbase. And I said, well, that's perfect because it's going to work with my kit because I'm going to offer a longer wheelbase kit. So they were so I got the blessings from the up guys at the top and said, go ahead, man, do you, have fun.
Bonus.
So the body you're going to make is what year of Toyota truck, or what truck are you going to make?
It'll be the exact replica of the RC four-wheel drive TF2, the SR5, I believe it is, the 86 or 85 or whatever year that was.
Okay. But it's going to fit a different body or different wheelbase than the RC four-wheel drive?
So it's going to utilize, it's going to have the same exact style chassis, but it's obviously going to be longer up in the middle. It'll have all of the bolt points that this chassis has, so you can literally take all of your suspension, all of your links, put them on the longer chassis that I provide, and then I'll have the attachments that you can add to your drive shafts to get them to lengthen from your transfer case and your transmission, so that you can pretty much utilize everything you have in this kit and just bolt on all of my stuff.
Cool. That should be really neat, and yeah, it should sell quite nicely.
Yep, I think so.
Because there's a lot of people that actually have the TF2, and if they had a smaller version of it beside it, it would be awesome.
Well, and that's kind of what I've been pushing in a sense, and telling other companies, like, a lot of people won't buy the 18 scale because it doesn't have the body they want or whatever the reason may be. So by me offering scale accessories and soon offering scale garages and garage accessories, now the guy who wants to build that scale garage that needs 4 or 5 feet to build a 1/10 scale garage will be able to build a little 2-foot scale garage to house these things, and that in it of itself will give them the reason to want to buy a smaller rig, smaller accessories. Ultimately, for the price that you're getting a 1/10 scale crawler fully scaled up, you can probably buy an 18 scale rig, some of my accessories, and enough stuff to build your own little garage for the same price. So that right there will definitely draw people in, I believe.
Yeah, it will. And building a Unibog body like the one you had, that's cool. And the other one I think that would I find that is catching up is those big square. It looks like a Unibog, but it's a square. It's like a desert truck that's big, and it's like a race desert truck kind. It's kind of cool.
So it's funny you say that, because my number 2 guy, Gio, that works for me, he saw the Unimog cab being printed, and he's like, dude, you got to make a Dakar truck. You got to make a rally truck. And it's pretty much just that back panel, printing that shape and bolting it to the Unimog, because essentially that's what they use for the rally trucks. And I mean, who knows? We can start a whole new class of rally, Yeah.
And it'd be cool having a little competition of seeing all those little trucks doing like a rally or whatever.
Agreed. I think it would be very cool. Yep.
I got some of the short course truck, the little 1/18 one that came out with, and I bought the first batch, which were not 2.4 gigahertz. Well, that's to me they sucked. They weren't good. And then I promised myself I'll never buy another one. And then I bought the 2.4 gigahertz, thinking they were going to be better. Well, they weren't. So, but now I'm really holding off. I have not bought any other smaller trucks. Even one guy had a good deal for me the other day. Like, I could have had one for $100 Canadian or whatever. And I said, no, I want nothing to do with them. I just held off, but I should have picked it up. But I said no. So
I love the mini stuff, only because, like, it's, more affordable. It's, small. You can kind of take it anywhere. I feel like it's a lot more versatile, and honestly, a lot less, like, for example, with the 18 scale, there's really nobody putting out different suspension. There's really nobody putting out different motors or ESCs or servos or any of that stuff. So it's kind of like you spent your $200 and something and you're pretty much done. At that point, you can spend some accessory money, maybe some different wheels, maybe a different body, but you're not going to be spending $1,500 on one truck to then maybe one day you're running at a competition, you have a bad day, it messes up, and you're like, oh, I hate this thing, I'm going to sell it. And, you know, I think it's a lot less of a headache, in a sense, when you're dealing with the smaller stuff, for the most part.
Mm-hmm. I still like the 1/10. It's a nice, especially playing outside. But with the little tiny one, it's a little rougher.
Yeah, agreed. It's definitely a little rougher.
But having a nice little tiny scale course in your house, or having it in a corner, it's way smaller, and you can have lots of fun with that. But I like going outside.
I do too, when it's not too cold or too hot.
Which area about do you live?
I'm in Jersey. So right now, like today, we're actually in the high 60s, mid to high 60s, give or take. So it's not too bad. But it does get pretty damn cold here, and it's pretty damn annoying.
Yeah. Just like here in Canada, just Mother Nature is not agreeing with the weather, and there's a bunch of jokes that's been going around saying Mother Nature doesn't know that winter's over because the Leafs are still playing for the Stanley Cup.
Oh, that would make some sense.
They got eliminated last night, so now nice weather is coming back. So,
see, we just say that Mother Nature wants to play a joke and says that you know, we thought we couldn't see all 4 seasons in a week, and she pretty much just said, "Here, hold my beer. Let me show you how it's done." So. That's how that works.
Crazy. For the people that did not see it earlier, can you show off that body for that Unimog again on that small scale truck?
Absolutely.
That looks nice. Now for painting it, that's going to be painted with what kind of paint, or?
So user preference, really, but me, when it comes to a hard body, anything, I prefer to use automotive stuff. So I actually use automotive paint, automotive clear, automotive primer, wet sand, wet sand, wet sand. It's all about the prepping. Then I get my little HVLP gun, and high volume, low pressure is what it stands for, my spray gun. And I spray these things. But you can use rattle cans, you can use Tamiya, you can use enamel, lacquer if you want your paint to dry quick. I mean, it's pretty versatile. The plastic isn't going to – this type of plastic's not going to get, like, a reaction or start melting on you, or, you know, burning up if you use the wrong stuff. It's usually user preference is what I tell people.
Chris from GCM was prepping a body that he got from somebody, and it was 3D printed. There was a lot of prepping to do for that body and a lot of sanding. Is that the same thing with that little tiny Unimog?
So with the little tiny Unimog, you're going to have very, very minimal sanding because it's actually printed at the best quality. So I don't even know if you can see. Let's see if I can get it to focus a little bit. You can maybe see a little bit of a print line per se, but ultimately it's really, really smooth. So what I recommend, like the roughest part on it's probably right here on the fender where you can see a little bit of some lines. But what I recommend is wet sanding this with about 220 grit in cold water, just to kind of give it some teeth, scuff it up, and then take some really high fill primer that you can get in a can, spray it about 2-3 times, let it cure real nice. Wet sand 600, spray primer again, wet sand 600, and it's pretty much ready to paint because it's ultimately pretty damn smooth. Like, I'm probably going to do a little tutorial with this one. It isn't going to take too much work to get like a really smooth finish out of this.
Cool. And how long does it take to print a body like that?
18.5 hours.
Wow. 18 hours.
Yeah, that's the only downside. When you're printing with really, really good quality, it takes a long time to print.
Is that 2 pieces or 1?
Yes. The cab is separate from the bed, and you can see the 2 screws here that get screwed from the inside or the outside, whichever way, and put a little nut. So you can actually just use the cab, do a little truggy build if you want, or I'll end up having, like I said, the car body, different attachments that you can bolt to this at some point.
Now, if you do the rally truck or that we were talking about earlier, like with the back that looks like a rally truck,
Yep.
you also have the flat nose Unimog or and all that. You thinking you're going to be making those also?
Honestly, if there's a demand for it and people want it, yeah, absolutely. I don't mind. But one thing I've learned is it's cool to have an idea, but if you waste a lot of time trying to put it out and there's really no demand for it, it was kind of a waste of time when I could have been doing something that people actually wanted, you know? And ultimately, at the end of the day, another hard lesson that I've learned in the hobby and in the industry is that it doesn't matter what I like. It matters what you guys like and what the end user likes and what they want to get, you know?
Cool. Tony from CCXRC is just online. And Tony, I was talking about you earlier. Tony has a YouTube channel, and he's called CCXRC.
Nice.
His name is Tony CC. And he's got a lot of subscribers, a lot of stuff. But here, Tony, let me show you this. Oh, be better if I go present to everyone. There we go. He has some. Brian has some parts. I'm trying to scroll down on the wrong window. He's fallen asleep. He says, "Here's some headers for your truck, for the SMT truck." And here's some light gauges, and the light gauges actually light up. And he's also got cockpits. But let me see if I can get a bigger picture here. So these gauges actually light up. So that's going to be cool in some of your monster trucks. So these three gauges lights up, and then the center one lights up, I guess, eh?
Yep, and the shift light on the TAC actually blinks.
Oh yeah, I see a cable here.
Yep.
That is cool. I think Chris put one of those in one of his truck.
I believe he did as well. I think it might have been his Blazer build, if I'm not mistaken.
Tony says he's bought some exclusive RC parts last year at the Tusami Monster Truck World Finals.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think I was, you know what? I think I was vending at that one. Well, I definitely appreciate the support. But I do think I was there vending at that one, if I'm not mistaken.
So that's kind of cool.
And I definitely did a lot more shows last year than I did and that I'm doing this year.
So Tony says it was a tough weekend. I know he videotaped a bunch of stuff. He was at a not tournament, but a race for the race truck and the monster truck. So he's been doing a lot of those lately with the SMT. So
gotcha. Very cool.
There's a tornado that blew through.
Oh, yep. So, yeah, I was definitely there then because that tornado came through and wreaked havoc. It destroyed all of my tents. It dented my brand new trailer. And if I hadn't parked my truck, my brand new truck at that time, inside of one of the garages from the Andersons, I probably would have got a lot of hail damage too. So, yeah, it was pretty nasty, to say the least.
Hope there wasn't a lot of damage.
Oh, there was. And there was a whole lot of me being pissed off.
I guess.
Yeah.
Tony says it sucked because of the storm and the tornado.
Yeah, it did. It really did.
Cool. Okay, we touched base on the drifter. You have some drifter stuff.
Yep.
You have the SMT stuff. You've got a whole bunch of different scale accessories. You are now going to have pull pals that are in metal. What other type of metal product are you going to have?
We're currently looking into some bumper fabrication. But I'm trying to work on a business partnership of, a company that I can't necessarily name at the moment because it's not finalized. All I'm going to say is that this specific company is making bumpers that are a lot more different than any other bumpers that have been out there on the market, and that's what I really want to get into, because I don't want to just be another cookie cutter or put out another bumper or product that everybody else is getting. I don't want to make it where it's a pissing match. I want to make it where if you like this style, you go buy it from this guy. If you like this style, you buy it from me, and kind of give people that option.
Okay. And Steve here on the comment, he's saying he's seen a video. You made a trailing arm you made for a UDR on Facebook?
Yes. I did a prototype. Actually, where is the UDR? Is it in the trailer? Grab it for me. I did a prototype trailing arm out of the carbon nylon, just to really push the envelope of the quality of the printer and the strength, because it's one thing to tell my customers it's got the same tensile strength as aluminum. It's another thing to actually prove and show that it does. So I saw right away that the trailing arms were an issue, and I said, you know what, I'm going to make my own. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, I'm sure somebody will end up coming out with some metal ones, which I'm not a fan of, because if something's going to break, I'd rather it be a $7 arm than be a $150 chassis point. You can pull the body off. So I kind of looked at manufacturers that existed already that were making arms, and I kind of based it off of that. So this is what they look like, you can see. So it's got the holes, it's got the bolts. It's kind of like a sandwich system. They're pretty beefy. And I've beat the snot out of it, and so far so good. The nylon aspect of it gives it just enough flex that it works to your benefit, but it's still sturdy and solid enough that it doesn't take the truck off track, or it doesn't take it doesn't affect the performance of it. And I haven't had an issue yet. There's about 6 prototype sets out there in the world that people have been testing for the last 3 weeks, and I haven't gotten any complaint back yet. So if everything is good, by next month I'll release them. They'll be $49.99 for the pair. They'll utilize the little ball joints that come with the stock ones, but everything else, the hardware, the arms, that'll come with from me ready to go. And it's just a different look, and it still gives you a weak point, but one that I don't think will ever be a problem, if that makes sense, versus throwing on something that's metal, or chances are, the guys over at RPM are probably going to make that and a bunch of other things in their, ballistics nylon, as they like to call it. And that's probably what I would buy, because I use their stuff on my Slash and everything else. But since I have the means to make my own stuff, why not? Try it out. If it works, great. And if it doesn't, then I guess I learned what my tolerances and limits were.
Yeah.
Be nice for the upper.
Yeah.
So in the comments here in the video, I put the link to his Facebook page, and that actual video when he's talking about it at about 24.25 minutes of that video. That's when he starts talking about those trailing arms, if you guys want to have a look at it. So in the live video on YouTube, there's a chat of people, Brian, and that's where I just put the link.
Awesome.
To that video that leads back to your Facebook page.
Cool. Thank you.
But guys, watch this video first. Then when you're done, go over there.
Yes, what he said.
Yeah. I was talking while you were getting into your house. I was talking about last weekend. I set up a urban crawl in the city here. So there was a lot of people that showed up. I believe we were 19 trucks. So
Wow.
that actually showed up, and that was about 16 people. That was kind of fun. We got a Barwood market where there's a lot of people always hang out. And so we were like a convoy of RCs. So as soon as some people, they saw me and my son, I had the unicorn and my son has his Ferrari. And
Yep.
people go, oh, wow, cool. And all of a sudden they see a big truck with a trailer, and then they see another truck, and they see another truck, and then they just stopped, and everybody was around us. Every time we stopped at a corner, you saw everybody like kind of was asking questions and all that. So
Yeah.
that was fun.
Very cool. Very cool. I love going to events and just doing the events more so. You know, I run and I compete myself like the rest of them, but I actually prefer the camaraderie and just talking to people and getting to meet a lot of the people that follow me or that watch my live feeds and like just share stories and like show off their builds and, you know, tell me how they got there or show me the different ways that they use my products. And like, I just think that that stuff is really, really cool. And that's kind of what I look forward to more than anything when I go to these events.
Yeah. And I find also, like, when I first started in RC and doing the YouTube things and all that, I was more concentrating is at capturing the event and doing the videos in the YouTube. But lately, I'm more of, no, I'm just going to go to the event and enjoy chatting with the people, enjoy talking to people and changing stories and just having fun instead of being behind the camera and capturing everything. To me, it was more fun doing this.
It is. It's definitely fun. I don't regret it.
What are you printing at the back? I see two printers going.
So I am right now making the Vision X light bars that Pitbull just released a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Filling out orders for that stuff because there's a huge abundance of people that want to get these new things. And these are probably, I would say very confidently, the brightest light bar on the market right now.
So you're actually printing stuff for other manufacturers also?
Absolutely. Yep.
That's cool. Keeps you busy, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, listen, it keeps me busy and I'm getting to do what I love to do, so can't really complain, I guess.
So this is what you do for a living right now, or do you have another job?
No, this is my full-time gig, as they say.
Cool.
Thank you. It took a while to get here, but we're here and we're staying. So
yeah, and I guess you had to learn how to use AutoCAD, and you had to learn to use a lot of different stuff through the years that you've been making this. So
I had to learn to be very patient is basically what we should be saying. Because that's exactly what it is. It's a whole plethora of patience that I tell people all the time. I'm like, listen, if you don't have the patience, don't even try to get involved because you're going to want to kill somebody. And I still feel like that sometimes, but the learning curve has lessened over the years with the experience, but it's still very nerve-wracking even now to this day. When it rains, it pours with RC. I'll put it to you that way. When one printer goes bad, it's like they all kind of just had a meeting, secret meeting that I didn't know about, and they were like, yeah, we're just going to go on strike today. So grab the beers and give them the good old middle finger. And yeah, I deal with that all the time.
Wow.
Story of my life.
I have a 3D bar somewhere. Can't remember where it is, but from GCM Racing. There it is. I can't remember where he got this, but I think it was from Shapeways, yeah. But But this is the one that you actually put some 5 LEDs into them, and it actually fits into. This is like 2 or 3 years old, so.
Oh wow! Yep.
So this is the light bar that I got from him. The first light bar that I got, some lights burnt into them, but I actually glued them in there, so there was no way for me to get them out. So next time I do it, I'm going to do it differently. So if I blow the lights, I'll be able to change it without having to buy it a whole new one.
Hot glue is your best friend. Just remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that because Chris actually did his. I bought his 6x6 off of him used, and he's actually sealed all the wires with hot glue. And I was there. How the heck am I going to take that apart? Like I was trying to cut. I didn't want to cut the wires, and then I thought, I go, it's glue. I just had to reheat it, and it's just going to melt.
Yep, be very pliable. Absolutely.
So it was very, like, not stupid of me, but like to really think hard of, okay, how am I going to take this off? I just took the heat gun and just pushed it in there, and then pop it back out, and all the glue came off. So that was kind of cool.
Easy breezy. Yep, it's very user friendly when you figure it out, I guess.
Yeah, and what's nice with it is the heat is not hot enough to actually damage the wire because you're not there long enough. So it's nice to take it off.
Yes, it is.
That reminds me, I got to do something with this bar, like put it back on the truck.
Have you ever seen colored hot glue?
Yes, I have. And I have, and it's like really weird, and it's kind of like one of those pet peeves I have where I'm like, why would you use this? But I guess for arts and crafts, it's really cool. For RC, it's kind of bothersome sometimes because it feels like paint's like dripped into it and infiltrated itself into the glue. And it's just one of those things that's really awkward for me. So yes, and I've even seen it with glitter too, which is even more weird.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen the glitter glue also.
Okay.
Cool. Well, guys, I'm going to thank you for showing up for RC Talk this week.
Absolutely.
I'm going to cut it half hour short. I need to go to bed. I had a very long day. So thanks, Kagan. Thanks, everybody that showed up live. Thanks for everybody that's watching and commenting. And we'll see you next week on RC Talk. And if you guys want to share this video, go right ahead. And Steve's saying good night. Cool, guys.
Hi, Steve.
See you next time on RC Talk. And we're going to probably stay a little bit and chit-chat here after we go offline. But thanks for showing up, guys.
Absolutely.